Hey guys, it's Maxie here and welcome to another TW video. You join us for the WWE save, where I'm glad to report for once we're not a mile ahead in terms of our recordings. I'm roughly about 1 week ahead, which is alright. I'd prefer it to be a bit more, just on the basis of booking 4 weeks of television in a week can be difficult at times, especially when we're booking 4 shows a week. So the good news is there'll be a lot of things I'll be clearing up here. I do expect maybe going to individual brand pay-per-views after WrestleMania. My reason for that is there's so many workers that you can see in these shows are just not getting opportunities, so it's given Ibdy a massive opportunity. There isn't the pressure that was previously there to ensure we're getting over at Titanic. I've sampled that. We're making good money, so I don't feel like we can take a gamble, basically, I feel is what we can take. So because of the time of year as well, Survivor Series is obviously on its own. You get the December pay-per-view, which would normally have 2 brands in there. Rumble's on its own, February's 2, and then WrestleMania itself was on its own as well for March. So I've just decided I'll wait to after WrestleMania, and then from April 2022 we'll have a Raw event and a SmackDown event. NXT, I'm quite happy with the model we've got for that, because there's just so many workers, and that's the thing, so many workers in NXT. A lot of these are going to make the main roster, so these pay-per-view slots are going to be vital. And yeah, I just feel it'll work a wee bit better. But as I say, today's show will showcase a few things we're going to do. It's going to document the future of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, and hopefully it's quite enjoyable. So what we're going to do, the only one I'm setting is just beat last year's rating. It's an interesting main event we've got. It's a bit of a gamble because obviously we're 90% on the main event, so I'm taking a risk there, but I'm hoping we can have a good show. We're aiming to beat an 81. And we're at Syracuse, New York, so we should smash that 35,000 attendance that we had last year, of course, now being the Titanic-sized company. As always, if you get any comments, please leave them in the comments section. I'll get straight back to you as soon as I can. And if you want to buy the game, etc., check out other people's stuff. All the best resources are in the description below. That aside, let's crack on. This is 2021's WWE Hell in a Cell. So we've absolutely smashed the attendance, 47,357 in attendance, just short of the 50,000 capacity here. We start the show with, disappointing I would say, 73 rated segment. I did hope this would do better. But we have our user character, Shane McMahon, who's basically the guy I'm using to do all the announcements. And he is basically here, he's announcing that over the course of the next 7 to 8 weeks, or basically the run up to Survivor Series, that we will be having a draft. So basically, obviously, I don't do the Raws or SmackDowns or anything on YouTube or anything, so if you notice a few different people on different brands, here's your warning, here's your announcement. Shane O'Mac is going to be changing things up, but just to freshen it up. Some Raw studs need a bit more balance in it, and also there's some storylines I want to take over, but I need them to be in the right place. Whether there's going to be NXT call-ups, I'd be surprised, but definitely some switching between Raw and SmackDown. Shane also announces the cancellation of the Crown Jewel pay-per-view, and there will be an announcement regarding its replacement in the upcoming weeks. Spoiler, it's later tonight. Basically, it gets interrupted by John Cena. He's back, basically. Obviously we released him, we'd fell out with him, but I felt like I needed more star power just to get people over. So Big Match John is back. He re-debuts the super face gimmick, and that gets an initial rating of great. The segment did deserve better announcing, but what we can confirm here is John Cena doesn't know where he's going to be. He's going to show up on Raw, he's going to show up on SmackDown until he finds a place that he wants to call home. So that's our opening segment. Moving along, we start off with a Hell in a Cell match, because you know that pay-per-view weirdly has Hell in a Cell matches in very strange placements. And it was the Great War that continued, and in a good matchup, the team of WALTER and Timothy Thatcher defeated Seth, Rollins and Adam Cole in a Hell in a Cell match in 2049, when WALTER pinned Adam Cole with the Golden Bomb. A much more respectable instance here with the 79. This is obviously more emphasis on now that Thatcher and WALTER are more over, so obviously their performance is going to get a higher rating. Obviously technically they're very, very good, and once we make the adjustments to the classic balanced product, they'll be even better. So there'll be two really good hands. That's kind of why we're giving him this push off the bat. But it gives more momentum behind the Magnificent Seven. They've got two really strong leaders. We see them as a threat, and it just gives me more people that we can kind of get closer to the main event scene should we kind of want to mix and match and try different people in there. So a good win for the heels in this instance. Moving along, really just a match-up to get Drew on pay-per-view. It was a good match-up where Drew McIntyre defeats Samoa Joe in 1814 with the Future Shock, Claymore, whichever finisher you want him to use. At 77, Joe's obviously in a physical decline because of his age, but we just have to give Drew some big victories on pay-per-view, just really to keep him relevant, to keep him over. Obviously you get much bigger gains with wins on pay-per-views than you would on television, so hoping that benefits him going forward. We then have the promo with Edge as he's hyping his match up with Karrion Kross. These have done battle before. It's an 82 promo, and Edge just says he needs to keep proving to the world that he's on top of his game. Another win against Karrion Kross can showcase that. He really wants to get one more run at World Championship, or in this case the Universal Championship, because he's on SmackDown. So he just wants to show that he can still hang at the highest level. And the match itself was actually superb, much to my surprise, as Edge defeated Karrion Kross in 11:41 with the spear. An 82, which is good. We kind of limited the match in terms of time, because I felt like Edge would maybe struggle a little bit with stamina. A 79 is very good for him, considering he was off his game. Byron Saxton with a weak performance at announcing. Karrion Kross seems to, although lose a lot, continue to get over, so that's always a good sign that he's getting over in defeat. And Edge, I feel like he could have benefited from this, and it gets him closer to maybe like an 82, 83 over. We can push him back into that main event scene if he wants to go for that one last run as champ. They don't have a match tonight, but these two are going at it. The Intercontinental Champion Roman Reigns, the former champion Johnny Gargano, and they just keep brawling all around the backstage area too much that the likes of Pat Buck is trying to pull them apart. You've got Jason Jordan, I suppose. I'm trying to think who's road agents in this day and age. Sonjay Dutt. All these kind of folk are trying to pull them apart in an 82 rated segment. Two wrestlers that were probably victims of the depth of the company because it wasn't time on the show. I'd just rather have given Drew a push than have them another rematch. Moving along, this feud's been getting quite heated. It's basically been Randy Orton basically attacking people post-match, very similar to the run he's on in the moment IRL, and I just felt like he needed that one big victory to get him to the next level, because I really jobbed him out, but as documented by real life, he's probably at some of the best work of his career. He's been fantastic. So superb matchup. Randy Orton gets the win over Andrade to get a good overness boost in 17:45 with the RKO. Now if you're wondering why it is a 77, considering the performance of Andrade wasn't too keen on putting Randy over, so we did have to keep the Mexican looking strong. But a good win for Orton. I kept it clean because I felt like it just shows how much of a threat he can be by pinning a former WWE champion. And after the matchup, Randy Orton just punts him. Boot to the head, down goes Andrade. 82, Randy Orton comes across well, and Randy Orton also has a gimmick now that is getting stale, so that's a bit worrying. Then at the promo, Chelsea Green's getting her big opportunity. She's had a good run of momentum here, with Robert Stone of course in the background, and it's going to be Chelsea versus Io Shirai for the Raw Women's Championship. That drew a 66 rated promo. The match itself had decent wrestling but not a lot of heat, as Io defeated Chelsea in 13:08 with a German suplex hold. The second defence of the Raw Women's Championship. A 68 is not too bad. It was giving Chelsea the opportunity to see if she could hang. I'd say she'd done pretty okay there. Io's getting better at her gimmick, but realistically it's her second title defence. We're not taking the title off her that quickly. Next up, 87. Thank you, the man that is actually saving this company in terms of its promos. Basically, I can relax in terms of match ratings because this man always delivers a good promo. An 87 here, so less pressure on main events. And The Miz is going to be defending the Universal Championship against Big E. It's two guys that I feel have been on their A-game IRL recently. Miz obviously, he's got Maurice still with him. She's obviously been a thorn on the side of many. But he's just saying, oh, you finally get your opportunity, Big E. Well, it's time to get a reality check from the Universal Champion. I'm worried to see how this goes. So that's 87, that's going to be 90% rated for part of the show. Not ideal. An exceptional matchup. The Miz defeats Big E in 1857 with a skull-crushing finale after Maurice's interference. The Miz makes defence number 2 of the Universal Championship. So again, he's recently just won the belt. A 76, and with those two ratings, I think this could have been maybe 83, 84. That wacky psychology between them has certainly cost them a lot of points, so that's disappointing. But good to know they can get the rating of exceptional. And Maurice is just saying the new 9-month contract. I just feel like it's an extra bit in the side for the Miz a bit. You know, that he can just have his manager come in, his wife come in, and just help him get some cheap victories. So a win for the Miz, and he retains the Universal Championship. Moving on, Matt Riddle cuts a promo. I decided to put 4 guys I didn't have too much for in a match-up together, where the winner will have an opportunity against the Universal Champion. Obviously I had this a bit later, so it didn't make it too obvious who was going to win the other match. So 84, Riddle says, yo bro, Miz won, he took the belt off me, man, I need to come back and get that championship back. I know it's going to be tough, 3 excellent guys, Keith Lee, The Fiend and Braun Strowman, but I feel like I can beat these 3, bro, and then face The Miz and win my title back, bro. So 84 from Matt Riddle. Only a 78, that's quite worrying. Anyway, it was a superb matchup, and it saw Keith Lee defeat The Fiend, Matt Riddle and Braun Strowman in 1957 when Keith Lee pinned Braun Strowman with a power slam. A 78 despite the fact everyone had great performances bar Strowman, who just did a 76. Byron again not great at announcing, so we might punt him away and put someone else in the announce team. Let's see my negatives here. Which caused that to be such a poor rating? Inconsistency and 2 poor uses of explosive ring style, but I just felt like it freshens up the scene on SmackDown. I can go and have a small mini program between The Miz and Keith Lee. As I said, that title shot can happen on SmackDown, it could happen at Survivor Series. I've got a bit of time to build towards it. The Fiend has been really difficult to book. I've never had a proper pattern for him in terms of booking, so he could be someone that maybe makes his move to Monday Night Raw. But anyway, a victory for Keith Lee, and he'll have that future championship match against The Miz. We had Shayna Baszler cut a promo. She says, it's great you're back, Becky, and all you've done is reawaken Ronda Rousey, but don't you be on about Ronda, because I'm just as good, and I'm going to show that when you end your little fairy tale return. I've beaten up your friend Bayley, and I'm going to beat you up as well, and I'm going to make that arm, I'm going to break it. So 35 by Shayna. And this match is also contested within the Hell in a Cell structure, and it was a good matchup, and it saw Becky Lynch defeat Shayna Baszler in a Hell in a Cell match in 14:22 with the Disarmer. A 78, pretty solid there. 82 from Becky, 65 from Shayna. Feud writes itself. There was the temptation to have Shayna go over, but I feel like then why would Ronda even care? But you could have obviously ring rust and all that for Becky. I don't think she's got it. Let's have a wee quick look. That could have been a negative there. Nope. So even though she's not wrestled too much, I think she's only maybe 1 or 2 matches against Mickie James, she still picks up the victory. After this, Shane McMahon comes out, our user character. He says, obviously we mentioned that Crown Jewel was no longer happening. By the end of the month, the 4th week of October, it will be WWE Evolution, and we will have that one-on-one matchup, Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey, as our main event. So a 66 was a bit disappointing. These two can main event it. I can have countless championship matches with the women we've got in the main roster, and we might bring up some NXT people for it as well, but delighted with that. So there's not too much pressure, I feel, on ensuring we get a great rating now, so if we end up dropping down a level, it's cool, we're financially fine, so I can take more gambles and give the women an Evolution pay-per-view. And of course, there's always that possibility of future more pay-per-views for various divisions. You know, look at the cruiserweight thing. We'll see how it goes. So that's coming up. Now we'll get main event time. Kevin Owens has not been in the main event for a long time, and he's going to be up against Angel Garza for the WWE Championship. KO's been on a good run. He just says that Angel Garza is nothing but a little weasel. You know, how he done to his friend Andrade, and what him and Zelina Vega have constantly did. They've constantly cheated, and he's just said he's going to kick his ass and take the WWE title. And their match, drumroll for the main event, an 82. This seems to be the level we continuously are getting. But a superb matchup. Angel Garza defeats Kevin Owens in 22-23 by pinfall with El Merueto after Zelina Vega interfered, and this gave Angel Garza the 4th defence of the WWE title. So I'm hoping with KO, obviously he's got the physical decline, but I'm hoping he can maybe gain popularity and defeat with a good exposure. And if we look here, yep, we can see declining physical ability and then consistency of Garza. I'm going to look at Byron and maybe see if I can switch up for pay-per-views and maybe just go Michael Cole and Corey Graves, or maybe bring up Tommy Dreamer and X-Pac. Overall, an 82, the show increased their pop in one region, so we're actually probably getting more pop on television just purely because we can start with the hype entertainment angles, and The Miz can usually carry a good rating for that. So like a lot of promos with The Miz have been like 100 when he's been in with certain people, so I feel like that's the case here. But 82 is still decent. Still a long way to go in terms of all these 100s I want to get, but that might be a case of WrestleManias, SummerSlams, when we've got like a big boost from a special set, the magicians, and of course the celebrities as well. But as always, we'll have a wee nosy back to the main screen. There's not really anything that's going to be spoiled in terms of signings or anything. There's nobody coming in at this moment in time. We look at overness, we'll have a wee look at, as I say, basically what kind of ratings we get as well. So, Hell in a Cell itself, positive feedback, that's good to see. AEW extension rumour, Jack Evans. I've got Angelico. I think 39 has basically took Jack Evans out. We'll pass on Jack Evans. I've got too many people. A new contract for DJZ. He'll stay in NXT. It's not really a spoiler because it's going to happen in television, but the plan is I'm going to basically change El Hijo del Fantasma to the character he's in real life. I'm going to turn Mendoza and Joaquin Wilde and make them all heel. I'm going to follow that program, just give them an opportunity, because there's so much talent on AEW, on NXT. And it's just seeing what works, and if it works they can come up to the main roster, but it's so clustered that I'm on a 3-hour NXT as well. So Drake will get a new contract, that's fine. We'll even do that one here quickly because that's pretty much done deal, easy as you like. 4-year deal for Drake. Steve Carino says that Chelsea Green has charisma, that's why we're giving her an opportunity. 7,000 drug tests. We had 6.4 million viewers for Hell in a Cell. And on pay-per-view buys, that was 2.1 million, 4.34 for them. So financially, it's a good month so far, but there's still a lot of money to lose. But we'll see what happens. Pay-per-view revenue is certainly up from the last couple of months. You can see that 7.3. In fact, our biggest by a mile. So I wonder if that's maybe been a change in. Well, obviously it's our first real pay-per-view since being Titanic, so that would be a factor as well. If we just go to top 100, 93 is still our highest, so we need to try and surpass that. Hell in a Cell was our biggest attended show, so considering that's beat the Rumble and WrestleMania would give you an idea that that is because of the growing size. The buy rate was number 3, so again, those two are obviously get a bit of importance towards them. So again, the size of the company and viewerships, well, just behind SummerSlam. But you can certainly see we're getting bigger and bigger with our growth, and obviously pay-per-views are starting to fit in here now because of the expanded network and more people viewed. And as well, with that 121 million, we can obviously develop our 2 broadcasting systems, which is of course WWE Network and WWE horizons, basically places where we don't showcase Raw, etc. and SmackDown, so they can gain a little bit. So the last thing we're going to look at is, of course, the overness for people that were kind of on the event. So Bray Wyatt maintains an 83. Adam Cole struggling about the 72s. We'll just look through Andrade. I think that's a gain. Despite losing on pay-per-view, that is a gain. Compared to where it was. Oh, you can see Great Lakes is already up 3, so he's, even though he's lost, he's gained from that. Angel Garza, pretty much the same kind of overness, 87s, 88. I don't really worry about the rest of the world because some places we don't have as great exposure. So as long as they're over in the US, 99.9% of my shows are going to be in the States. So that's why there's not too much of a worry there. Becky's kind of actually, is she gaining or losing overness? So despite winning, she's losing. That can happen as well. Big E, up to the 80s, so he's certainly come on a good little bit here. You can see the progress, even in the last couple of months with that push. Good solid 12 in the Great Lakes, so that's good to see. What else we got? Byron, as I say, I'm probably going to punt. Chelsea, no real gain there. Daniel Bryan wasn't on the show. Drew is now looking at, kind of breaking into those light blues, which is good to see. Edge, kind of roughly staying the same. That many wrestlers on the roster, that is the problem. Io Shirai still at 60s. I think she needs something big with Becky, if I'm being honest. If we're going to try and get her up to the next level. Cena's at the 70 odds, so that's fine. We can push him back up and he'll be fine. Gargano stays at 80s. Karrion Kross, he's actually went down a good wee bit for that against Edge, so that's maybe lost 2 or 3 in places. Keith Lee in the 80s, which is good. His popularity, considering what it was a year ago, I would say we've done pretty well with Keith Lee, building him back up very strong. Kevin Owens, mid-70s. Corbin is fine. Where else we got that's been frequently on pay-per-view? Randy, back up to the 80s. So to give you an idea, he was obviously over to start with. We jobbed him out so bad he was at 59 over, so the fact we've got him to like 78, 80s is at least a sign he's on the path of getting there. Roman still 82s, 83s. Ronda 76s. Is she declined or is she? She has declined, so we actually need to start using her, getting her on television. And the last couple that are still being used: Samoa Joe mid 60s, Seth 73, 74, Shayna Baszler 67, 68. So no real movement for her. Miz, there's 90s in there, there's a 92. The guy is absolutely over. Could basically hold a show easily everywhere apart from in India, so he's doing well. Undertaker obviously is retired, so might put him in the announce booth. He's a personality, a road agent, so probably a road agent. Thatcher 68s and 72, and yeah, I believe that's all that is good. So one last thing I'll comment on, because it's obviously an iffy subject. The States of the Velveteen Dream, I said I'd obviously handle it how WWE handle it and go from that. Obviously there's still stuff coming out, so what I'll do is it'll be, if anything, a light push, so he won't be like massively promoted, no like world titles or anything like that, but we'll keep an eye on it. But so he'll be at least getting used now because he's featuring on television again. As you've probably noticed in other saves, Jimmy Havoc get absolutely binned. Devlin, etc. will continue to be jobbed out until they appear back on WWE television. That's just the status I need to take on that. So that was just to clarify that as well. And obviously any wrestler I don't have that was involved in it will not be anywhere near this company or any of my saves. So, bit of a downer, but I'll have to announce it just so people know the stance on it. So I'm going to now cancel the Crown Jewel and hopefully I'll see you for the next video, because that will be WWE Evolution. Thanks and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.